It's time for our October homeschool update. We are just finishing our 10th week of school. Throughout those 10 weeks, we have made some adjustments to our schedule and tweaked some things to work better for us, and we have definitely been making progress. Go ahead and grab your favorite drink or a load of laundry to fold, and let's get started. Hi everyone, welcome to our homeschool table. My name is Jerilyn. I'm a mom of 3 kids, ages 10, 3, and 1. This is our 6th year homeschooling. I will go ahead and put some timestamps down below in the description box if you are interested in jumping around the video a little bit. But I'm going to be sharing 4 main things. The first thing is what we've been up to as a family this last month. The second thing is how our homeschool schedule is going. The third thing is how our curriculum is going. And stay tuned to the very end for number 4, which is my preschoolers update as well. So let's go ahead and get right into what we've been up to in October so far. So before October started, from the middle of August through September, we had completed 6 weeks of school. So the last day of September and the first week of October, my husband was going to take that week off of work, which he did. And we were able to do several fun things that week. One of the days I had kind of a mom day where I went and had coffee with some friends, and then I went and had a pedicure with a friend of mine. And then even though I was with my family again, we went to some friend's house for dinner. And so it was kind of nice that I was able to take the day off of cooking, and my family took care of the house chores that I would normally do that day, which was really nice. We also went to the pumpkin patch and had a great time seeing the animals there and picking out pumpkins in the field, and of course eating donuts, apple cider donuts there. One of the days that was really a beautiful day at the coast, we decided to get all the kids in the car and head to the beach for the day. And that was a lot of fun. It wound up being about 65 or 70 degrees there that day, warm enough that we were actually able to just be in our t-shirts and jeans, things like that. The kids actually did wind up getting in their swimsuits and playing in the water a little bit, even though if you've ever been to the Oregon coast, it is extremely cold, even on a sunny day. The little kids had a great time especially, and for my little daughter, it was her first time at the beach. Playing in the sand. So that was a lot of fun. The second week of October, we just had pretty much a normal week. We had some doctor's appointments. We were supposed to have a homeschool hangout day with some friends of ours, but that wound up getting delayed till the next week. So then the third week of October, we had our homeschool hangout, and then we actually got to go to a new music class with some friends of ours. The music class had probably about 15 to 20 kids, I would say, and probably 6 or 7 families that were there. So that was a lot of fun. The teacher makes it very engaging. She teaches a little bit about music history and certain composers. And then she teaches a little bit of music theory and has the kids get involved with clapping rhythms or playing little instruments and things like that. So it was a lot of fun. The fourth week of October, which would have been last week, I decided to start going to our church's Coffee and Connect, which is a ladies' coffee 2 hours that we can just go and hang out in our church coffee shop and just have a good time chatting together and having the kids just play and things like that. It's a nice wide range of ages that attend, and it's just a small group of people, but it's still fun to get to know other people in our church. Then last weekend, we got to go to Pumpkin Day at our friend's house, and that was a lot of fun, just carving pumpkins and eating more donuts and having soup and bread and just hanging out together with their families. So we've done lots of fun things in October. It's been definitely helping to get out and do things, especially with the fall weather. Some days it's been raining, but most of the days have actually been pretty nice this October. Now that it's towards the very end, it's definitely getting more rainy, but that's just how it is here in Oregon. So now let's go ahead and talk about how our schedule is going. So first of all, we start the day with my daughter doing all of her independent work, and she and I had discussed probably about a month ago her getting up early so that she could start on her independent work before the little kids woke up. Our 3 and 1 year old, they usually wake up right around 8 o'clock, and so my husband leaves at about 6:45 and has been waking up my 10-year-old fifth grader so that she can get started on her independent work in her room, and that is going really, really well. She is getting everything done practically before I even wake up at about 7:30. And since she's in her room and it's quiet and nobody's distracting her, she's able to get things done a lot faster than she does when she's at the dining room table with the little kids running around and making noise and distracting her. So I'm really happy that we made that change. And she just works through her morning checklist to kind of know what independent work that she needs to be working on. After everybody is up around 8 or 8:30, that is when we do our morning chart. We just get ready for the day and do some just basic house chores and my daughter's chore list. Then after that, I start getting ready for our homeschool day. I lay everything out and get some snacks ready to be on the table. I did a video all about hospitality and homeschool recently, and I will link that up here. But that has been going really well to just get ourselves ready for the day and have everything we need here at the table waiting for us so that we don't need to get up or get distracted, unless there's a diaper to change, of course. But for the most part, we have everything we need here, and it's going really well to be really prepared for that. So now let's go ahead and talk about the curriculum that we are using. And I will start with our language arts curriculum. So we are using a few different things. I kind of have an eclectic method when it comes to language arts. One of the things that we're using is Christian Light Education's Reading 5, and that is going really well. This is a subject that my daughter does independently in the morning. And so she reads a story and then works on 3 pages or so of her little workbook. They come in little 16 lesson packets. So she works on a lesson every day, Monday through Thursday, and that is going really well. She is about halfway through the 3rd book, and there are 5 books total. So it should take us about 20 weeks to complete that program, and we are right on track. So she should be done, I think, in January is when she's scheduled to be done with that program, and then we will be moving on to something else, which I will share about later. So don't forget to subscribe so you can see what we switch to after that. But CLE is going really well. Another program that she uses is Fix It Grammar, and we are about 20 weeks in, I think, and there are 30 total. So she is supposed to finish Fix It Grammar about the same time she finishes CLE reading, which is great because the other program that we are going to use is more all-inclusive and has a little bit of everything in it. So those 2 areas, reading and grammar, will be covered in the other program that we'll be using later on in the school year. The next thing that my daughter works on is copywork, dictation, and written narration, and she uses a lesson book for this from Sherry Hayes at momdelights.com. And I make her assignment sheets, which I recently made a video about creating your own copywork and dictation assignments, and I'll link it up here and down below in the description box if you're interested in that. But those are going really well. She does copywork the first 2 days of the week, and then I go over it with her that day. Then on the 3rd day, she does a dictation passage where she studies any words that might be a little bit harder for her to spell and practices the capitalization, punctuation, spelling, things like that. So that's all going really well. We did add Grammarland, which if you saw my video about our grammar problem, I'll link it above and below as well. But this is going pretty well. We've only read 3 chapters, I think, so far. So in the book Grammarland, it takes every part of speech and turns it into a character. And it is kind of a funny little book. So there's a chapter on Mr. Noun and little article. And so it just kind of helps kids understand the different parts of speech based on how their character acts and just kind of the dialogue that goes on in the book. But that's been really fun. I will be doing a full review on that book later on when we have completed it, so look out for that if you're interested. The next subject that we will talk about is math. And math is probably going the best this year than it has all the other 5 years that we've been homeschooling. So that is really awesome. We've been using Math UC since kindergarten, and this year she is on the fractions level, and it's actually going really well. She has even said the words, "I love fractions," more than once, which is like makes me want to fall over. But I'm so glad that she is enjoying math this year a little bit more. Now, one thing that we have changed is that we are scheduling it out a little bit differently than I used to do. I used to try to do a full lesson in the Monday through Friday week, and I had kind of noticed that we needed to spend a little bit longer on some of the lessons. So we have been using most of the pages. There are 7 pages total in the Math UC program that you would use for one lesson. And there are 30 lessons total for the school year. So obviously that gives quite a bit of flexibility as far as being able to take longer on some lessons than others. So that's what we've been doing. So this week in week 10, we are working on lesson 7, and we should be probably finishing lesson 7 in the next 2 or 3 days. So I have been really enjoying doing math like that this year, and it's really working for her. We used to only do Math UC, and this year we are trying something new where I have my daughter work on flashcards twice a week, so just multiplication flashcards that I got from Memoria Press, and she really likes them, and she doesn't complain about doing them at all, which is really nice. We're also using Kumon. They're actually from 4th grade because we used them a little bit last year and last summer, but she's using the Kumon multiplication and division books to just get a little bit of extra practice, since there isn't daily multiplication and division practice in the Math UC program. There is some practice of those things in the systematic reviews each week, but it's not very many problems. So I just went ahead and added those things, which is going really well. The next subject that we have is Sunlight, and that includes history, Bible, and literature. We just finished week 9, so I'm not trying to necessarily keep up with the week of school that we're on, although that would be nice. It doesn't really work for us quite like that. Plus, I don't mind doing some of our Sunlight reading throughout the next summer of the year that we started. So my plan is that we get through as much as we can in the school year and then kind of continue on a little bit through the summertime with some of the read alouds and things like that. We are doing a pretty good job of keeping up with the reading. In past years, I haven't been as good at continuing with read alouds when they're scheduled. We are actually right on track. I'm just making sure that read aloud is a top priority, and instead of skipping it, I will just move it to the next day, and that's where I will start if I didn't get everything done from the day before. So that's kind of how we're working that, and we are not worrying about staying right on week 9 of Sunlight during week 10 of school, and it doesn't really matter. So that's been a nice change. I have been trying to pre-read the readers that my daughter is using from Sunlight, and I have read most of the books. I think she's on the 5th book, and I've read 3 of them. So for me, that's actually pretty good. And she is really liking the readers mostly this year. In level D and E, that is when they start having the readers correspond with the time period of history that you're working on. So most of these books are written around the Civil War time. There was one from the Gold Rush time. Now she's reading one about the Native Americans and how they were forced to live on reservations. She's really enjoying those readers, and so am I. I am doing Sunlight Level E specific update videos this year, and so I have already posted weeks 1 through 6 a little while ago. And since we are in week 9 right now, once we finish week 12, I will be doing the next Sunlight update video. So stay tuned for that later in probably the end of November or so. Next, let's talk about science. And kind of last minute, we switched to Apologia's Zoology 2, which is Swimming Creatures of the Fifth Day, and we are loving it. It is probably the favorite science curriculum that we have now used in the 6 years that we have done science. We do most of the activities. There are some activities that we skip in the program, but for the most part, she likes to do the activities, and I have her do the coloring pages and the word searches and just kind of the more fun activities. She for sure does. The last section of curriculum is our enrichment subjects. So I will go ahead and start with our hymn study. And we are learning a hymn in the month of October that I have actually never heard before this month. We use the Happy Hymnody website and YouTube channel to do our hymn study. And the hymn we're working on is called Dear Refuge of My Weary Soul. And it's kind of a familiar tune, which is kind of weird because I don't remember ever hearing that song before, but it's kind of catchy. And so we listen to it usually when we are having our snack in the morning at the table or during lunchtime so that our little daughter can also listen along with our hymn study. For picture study, we are learning about the artist Tintoretto, and we have done a few of his paintings so far, but I think we've probably only done 3 for all of the 10 weeks so far, and our terms are about 12 weeks long, so we probably do need to kind of get the ball rolling a little bit faster on picture study, but we have enjoyed. I normally just put the picture back here on our little line and just keep it up after we have talked about that picture. For music study, we are listening to Beethoven's music, and so we just put that on for background music during lunch, or sometimes I will just cue up a piece of music from Beethoven on my phone during lunchtime and listen to it on the little sound link that we have. So that has been actually going pretty well. We probably listen to a piece about once a week. The next thing is Nature Reader, and this is from Christian Liberty Press. My daughter actually reads this twice a week on her own. She's been mostly reading about owls right now, and although she can give you some very interesting facts about certain types of owls, she doesn't really like owls. So she is definitely ready to move on to the next subject. And the last thing in our enrichment studies is character study. We are using Kids of Character by Character Concepts, and in the month of October we were working on 3 different character traits. So one of them was truthfulness, the other was obedience, and the last one was attentiveness. And these are actually 3 of the things that Charlotte Mason recommends as like the top 3 character traits to work on before you work on all the other ones. So that's why I chose those first. I make these little assignment sheets for my daughter. So every day she reads a passage of scripture that talks about that character trait. And then she answers some questions that are in the book, the Kids of Character book. And then she has a few application questions on how she can apply that character trait to her life. And so that has been going really well. It also comes with a read aloud called Portraits of Integrity. So about once a week, I will read the character story that goes along with that trait. And that is going really well. Whew, that was a lot of talking about curriculum for my fifth grader. Now I would like to go ahead and talk about my preschooler. I had all these great intentions of what we were going to do for preschool this year, and he is about 3.5 now, and we still aren't really doing very much, you guys. It's kind of embarrassing, actually. In mid-September, we started the Awana program at a church here locally to us. My daughter has been going to Awana there since she started Sparks in kindergarten, and now she's in TNT. But this year, my son, who's 3, he started the Cubbies program, and it is the cutest thing. He does so well at memorizing these verses, and he can even, if you kind of help him get started with a previous verse from past weeks, he can rattle off the whole thing. And so that has been really fun to see him kind of growing in that. So we have been consistently working on his Cubbies book every week, usually on Thursday or Friday. We have Awana on Wednesday night, and then on either Thursday or Friday, I will read the story to him, and then we practice the verses every day. And so that has been really fun to help him with, and he finds it really fun. We do practice at home where he kind of yells his verses, which I don't really mind at home. But I did tell him, please don't yell at your teachers. And I did ask the teacher, and no, he doesn't yell at her. So I'm really glad about that. But he's doing really well with Awana. So for math in our homeschool preschool, I have been using the book Preschool Math at Home, and we're still on the very first set of lessons where it's all talking about numbers 1 through 5. So he's working on counting little sets of objects. So if there's 3 little bears, 1, 2, 3. So just practicing one-to-one correspondence and the correct counting pattern and things like that. Putting them in different shapes or configurations, and is it still the same number or not? So he's just getting used to those concepts, but we're still just working with numbers 1 through 5. He can count accurately up to 10. After that, he gets a little fuzzy on what comes next and loops back to 7 and things like that, but he's doing really well. One thing that I am trying to do more frequently is to have our daily story time. And usually since I'm so busy in the morning with my older daughter and getting all of her read alouds done and things like that, what I've been trying to do is to have story time before nap. It's just kind of a nice way to calm everybody down and be a little bit more relaxed. That's usually around 1:30, 2 o'clock, kind of depending on the day and what evening activities we have. That kind of segues into the next thing I wanted to tell you about, which is the fact that I purchased a couple of units from Rachel at 7 and All. Her and her family run a website called Where'd You Learn That? And they have some preschool units that I had been keeping my eye on since she came out with them a couple years ago. I don't even know that my son was born yet when she came out with these, but I have kept my eye on them over the years. And so I went ahead and got the transportation unit and the vehicles at work unit. And so far I have printed out the first one. I just printed it out last night. And so I am still going to be kind of preparing the units, and I ordered the books from the library to be able to do the first week. And it's all about trains. And my son last night saw me printing out the pages, and I showed him a picture, and he got really excited. He said, "It's for me? I'm a big boy now?" And it was so cute. So I'm really excited to go ahead and start that train unit with him. And so I think what I'm going to do is dedicate that story time that we're doing right before naps to reading those books. And we'll do the other activities that go with the Purely Preschool program at other times of day, probably earlier on, but I will try to incorporate those books that are just for him during that time. I am going to be doing a flip through of the Purely Preschool unit that I have printed out so far. And so if you're interested in that, drop a comment down below and I'll make sure to kind of put that on priority as far as what videos come out next. But I'm really excited, and so I'm hoping that at the end of November, when I do my November homeschool update, that I can share all sorts of great things about what we did in November. Well, I know that was a pretty long video, so thank you so much for sticking with me to the very end. If you liked this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Let me know down in the comments how your homeschool is going and what you have been up to in October. I always love hearing from you guys about how your homeschool years are going. I hope you guys are all having a really great fall so far. Hopefully, wherever you live, you are enjoying some nice fall weather. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today at our homeschool table, and I'll see you next time.